If you find yourself doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, and you're applying yourself, maybe you're working with a coach, maybe you're taking classes, reading books, and you're taking action, and you're not getting the results that you should be getting, that you desire to be getting, that you're working hard to be getting. It has been my observation that you are probably unconsciously protecting yourself from what you want.
Welcome to Super Normalized, the podcast where we challenge the conventional, break boundaries, and normalize the seemingly supernatural. Join me, CJ Barnaby, in the liminalist space to explore less charted realms of existence and to unravel the mysteries of life experience. Each episode, I'm blessed with the opportunity to talk to regular people from across the world where they openly share their understanding and wisdom in service to others. If you're looking to upgrade your life, you've come to the right place. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll bring you great transforming conversations each week. My treasured viewers and listeners, if you have a life story or healing modality or unique knowledge that you'd love to share, reach out to me at supernormalized@proton.me. Let's together embrace acceptance of the supernatural and unusual, what it really is, completely normal. Today on Supernormalized, we have Morgana Rae. Morgana is a transformative coach, and she does the transformation around your belief around money. Now, when I first looked at taking on Morgana as a guest, I was like, this isn't going to be for me. I don't think this is for my listeners. But I was looking at it even in more detail. I was like, wait a minute. This lady has a love relationship with money that sort of itches at my soul in a way that I don't understand. Now, I record these intros after I've done the show, and I've got to tell you, this one's a big one and actually was right on point for all the things that I needed to hear myself. Morgana shares really openly of her process, and it's I think it was a six-step process, seven-step process, and it's very, very simple. And she shares that in the show in absolute detail. So I'm certain you'll enjoy this too. So please dive in. This is a great story and a great way to look at life that actually helps you to grow and release your blocks around money. But she also does go into relationships and love too. So enjoy the show. Welcome to Super Normalized, Morgana Rae. Morgana, you have a love affair with life and a love affair with love, and you've transferred that into a story of a love affair with money and how that's changed your life. So, welcome to the show, and we're eager to hear your story.
Oh, thank you. Well, I kind of came to having to apply this new way of relating to money because I was failing financially in a very grandiose way. And I was taking every class and I had all these certifications and testimonials, and I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing and not seeing it move the dial financially. And it really didn't make sense because I was living in Los Angeles and I had writers and actors and producers and director clients getting their first big breaks under my coaching. It was like I had a magic touch. And yet something was broken in me when it came to getting paid. And I am basically just so much more comfortable helping, caring about people, being of service, that I honestly had to make money a person and a person that I would want to have around just so that I could have money in my life. That's kind of that's sort of end result. And, you know, as a result of that, I have actually made a lot of money. So before picture 2003, March 2003, half a dozen coaching certifications, tons of celebrity clients, and I was struggling to make $100 a month, which is like, you know, beat that in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yes, we're, you know, it's like I could compete in the financial failure Olympics and take home a medal. And nobody's system was working, whether it was mindset or marketing. I was doing it all and I wasn't seeing results. And I would say to anybody watching or listening, in any area of your life, if you find yourself doing all the things you're supposed to be doing and you're applying yourself, maybe you're working with a coach, maybe you're taking classes, reading books, and you're taking action, and you're not getting the results that you should be getting, that you desire to be getting, that you're working hard to be getting. And maybe you've been doing this for a while and you're not seeing the results in your finances or in your love life or in your health or any of that. I've been coaching now over 30 years. I've coached thousands of people. Most come to me on the money thing, and that's where I have most of, like, you know, the results that I post. But I've seen that it's beyond just money. If you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing and you aren't getting the results that you really want and need to get, it has been my observation that you are probably unconsciously protecting yourself from what you want. And you have very, very good reasons that you may not be consciously aware of. So you're not a loser, you're not a failure, you're not your own worst enemy or any of that nonsense. That does not make sense. You know, you are designed to survive. Everything in you is designed to protect the host, which is you. So you are not your own enemy, you are not your self-saboteur, but you are protecting yourself. And sometimes you're protecting yourself from the very thing that you want most and need. So what we need to do is find out, what are you really protecting yourself from? What is the danger? And uncover it, bring it out into the open so that we can make what you want safe. I like to say that change happens at the speed of safety. And if change isn't happening, something isn't safe. And so in my own experience, and I'll go through my story, but I'm just deciding where to begin here. I'm just, before I go into my story, I'm just going to say that what I've observed is when we make what you want safe, and I'll talk really deep into detail how I do that, because it's not like anything anybody else does, you know, really. And I kind of came into this accidentally after trying everything else there.
Mm.
And by the way, anything else that works for you, I'm always do whatever works for you. I'm going to tell
Okay.
you what worked for me and people I've worked with. But what I see happen is when you make something safe, the change can happen really big and really fast. Almost like all that work you did wasn't wasted. It was just planting. It was building, it was planting seeds and building all this energy. And when you take down this protective wall, then boom, it can all come in. And it looked like, CJ, you wanted to say something.
Oh, no, no, I just coughed.
Okay, all right.
It's the coffee I've been drinking, so
That's so funny. Your coffee makes you cough. I'm sure you've heard that a million times, but
yeah, no, it's the first time.
okay. So I am going to, with your permission, I would like to share my own journey, my own tale of woe, and in so doing, sort of give you an outline of the process that I then reverse engineered after I had my own experience. And then I had all these clients who wanted to help me with this same thing, changing their relationship with money, love, and life. So in my case, I was always just a very good student, good girl, just trying to get love and acceptance from a very difficult parent by being, you know, a good student, getting A's, even after a traumatic brain injury and like uh not having a couple of years where I couldn't do mentally what I'd always done easily my whole life. I still graduated from high school, went to a top college, graduated with honors in religion, the most practical, subject you could possibly have. And then when I became a coach, I was coaching all these people in the entertainment industry, and actors and writers and producers and directors with no credits were winning awards and booking starring roles and primetime TV shows and selling their first project for a lot of money because I have the gift of synchronicity. I'm really, really good at kind of making things happen, just sometimes intuitively. Uh, what I wasn't good at was getting paid. Look, I was a religion major. I am into the whole, like, what is it to be a human being on this planet, and how do we have a better experience while we're alive for everybody? Those are the questions that I live in and think about all the time, which is not the biggest cash cow in the world. I mean, it can be, but it's not. We, like, healer artists, spiritual, romantic types,
You're
tend
speaking to
to,
me directly. That's sort of like my story too. So
yeah, we are driven differently. And I heard it explained really, really well many, many years ago that an entrepreneur sees a problem, comes up with a solution to make money. Great. The artist healer type who has a gift, in quotes, some kind of gift that we have to share. We the need to help is bigger than the priority to make money, which is tragic because we must make money in order to be able to thrive and give our gift. But we come at business differently. Like when we're coming up with what our niche is, the entrepreneur is like, uh, I cover up what, like, whiteout, like I cover up typed out mistakes and make $1 million. And the artist is like, I heal people in this way that I can't really articulate or understand, but I know how to do.
yeah,
And that's hard. The more valuable and nuanced and masterful your talent and gift is, the harder it is to market, because there is that part that crosses beyond what we have ready words for. And that's just the way it is. So, I was on the side of this kind of, I'm here to help and I care about people. And I wish I didn't even have to deal with the money conversation. And I wasn't even conscious really that I felt that way so much. But what I did notice is that when people would ask me how much I charged, because I had all these people who wanted to hire me because I had all these success examples and I was public speaking and, going to networking meetings and doing sample sessions and discovery calls and all the stuff you're supposed to do, like great marketing copy because I love language and, the website, the brochures back in the olden days when we used brochures and business cards and all that kind of stuff. And somebody would ask me how much I charged, and I would get so uncomfortable,
yeah.
and I would feel so much guilt and shame and worry that I'd be causing harm. I did not want to. And what if I took their money and I couldn't help? All these questions of honestly integrity would come up, but I would choke. And whether I did it out loud or just energetically, people could feel it. And then they would go away. So I kept looking for new solutions, like, oh, I will get certified in this new coaching skill. So I kept getting, master practitioner and trainer of neurolinguistic programming and Ericksonian hypnosis and coactive relationship training. And I just like, a
Oh, I did that
closet
too.
of tickets. Really useful, great training stuff did
Yes.
not make any difference in my ability to make money.
Mm.
Great for helping people and get results, but I was always good at that. So as the sort of Hail Mary, and I know I'm long-winded story, and I will get to the meat really soon,
No,
but
no, it's good.
Come with me on the tapestry of my failure. Um, so as the sort of Hail Mary, at this point, I've been working with coaches and I don't have money for rent and I'm still, taking classes and flying out of town every week to get new trainings and living on credit card and debt and borrowing money and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if anybody in the world can relate to this. And I took this class on overcoming sales objections. It was like my last chance. Seriously, the marketing classes I was taking were teaching me how to do what I was already doing really well. It's like the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail at this point. And so now I'm taking this class that will teach you, and I quote, the magic words to say when somebody says, oh, I'd love to, but I can't afford it, or I don't have the time, or whatever. So I took the class and I'm a good student. Like, even when I had the head injury, I still graduated with honors and then National Merit Scholarship. So, yeah, I learned the script 7 people in a row. I overcame their objections and they said, yes, they would hire me. And 7 people in a row never showed up for their first session and never paid me. And that is when I lost my mind and my will to live and any hope or idea that I had left. It was just like, I just lost it. Just, wheels came off the cart. And I remember being in my little tiny 1-bedroom apartment that I could not afford and closed the drapes to black out my room and getting on my bed and just crying and screaming my heart out. It just in like hurt and fear and rage and this feeling of being rejected and hopeless and furious. And I felt like the universe hated me and was messing with me. And I hated the universe back. And I didn't want to play anymore. And, that's clearly euphemism for just, I didn't want to be alive. I couldn't see the future.
Sounds like you were severely kicked in the faith. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
had you felt defeated by life at that stage.
Yeah. And it's not the first time.
Hmm.
And it wasn't the last, and I'll get to that too.
Okay.
Where you run out of hope, that fuel.
Hmm.
And I just sort of cried myself out, sort of like sinking to the bottom of the pool, which can be a useful place to be because the bottom of the pool gives you a place to push back up. But I just kind of just cried and cried until I cried myself out. And when I kind of hit the bottom, I had 2 thoughts. And one was, and full disclosure, I'm from California, so I consider this first thought a little bit of a cheat, but it, made sense to me, which was maybe money needed to be my next area of spiritual growth. And I say that, with the California disclaimer, because I grew up with, a lot of spirituality. And I thought, well, maybe if I could hide money in this spirituality box, I can do more good. Maybe if it's my next area of spiritual growth, well, I'm all about spiritual growth. And it's like, well, maybe then I'll be able to deal with it, which, is a good frame for some people. Probably for most of the people I work with. But that wasn't where the change came. I had another thought, which was, and I think this is more important. I got really curious. What on earth is going on inside of me that can't be with money? Because on paper, it made no sense. I had the education, I had the certifications, I had the skills, I had the results, I had the fans. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And I was failing like nobody's business. The other coaches that I graduated with were buying houses. And I was getting better results for my clients and I was making $100 a month, which added to that the shame of not being a grown-up financially, telling people and knowing that I can help them. And I've got this secret. Ugh. So I really just got curious. Something doesn't add up here. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, told every marketing, public speaking, it doesn't matter. So here's where the change happened. The next day, I spoke with my coach. Now, given what you know about my financial situation, that statement, the next day I spoke with my coach, is kind of the most ridiculous statement I could make. Like, I don't have money for rent, but I had a coach. And thank goodness, because it really saved my life.
Mm.
By the way, he and I did. We graduated on the same day. We took our certification exams, and he had a business, and my business was just not, it wasn't where it needed to be,
Mm.
simply to just support me. And I would do everything he would say, and nothing would happen, and it wasn't his fault. And on this day, I had a call with him. And instead of my usual, okay, what are we going to do now? Kind of looking at the problem, really healthy and constructive. This time I was just like defeated and this kind of vomit of my rage and despair and resentment and hopelessness. And anybody who is a coach or a therapist or a healer, you probably know that this is actually a really, really great place for us because it gives us something to work with as the coach when your client is that vulnerable and that open. That is when a person is primed for change. It's like you're the I was so in my feeling that like all my neurology, all my brain synapses were lit up with feeling. And that in they call it neuroplasticity, which is the ability to rewire our brain. Uh, that is the perfect time for that, when you're in the pain and you're just all activated and motivated. And so I came to this call a hot mess of despair. And it inspired my coach to ask a really weird question that he had never asked before, that he had never thought before, and I had never heard before, and it changed my life. He said to me, if your money was a person, who would your money be? And because I was feeling so crushed by life and rejected by life and full of that feeling, that when he asked me, I instantly saw a person. And I'm giving you this context because I'm not a good visualizer. And by the and a percentage of human beings don't visualize at all. So you don't have to be a good visualizer for this to work for you. It happened that I was in so much pain at that moment that I did visualize really easily despite myself. But even if you don't, under any circumstances, it's still not necessary. And I'll talk about that later. But so he said, who would your money be? And I instantly saw this big, scary, dirty, violent, terrifying biker dude. You know, tall, bald headed, long sideburns, white beater shirt, tattoos. I have no problem with bikers. Every biker watching, you're golden. No problem there. This one was just bad, and bad towards me, like the feeling of menace and danger. And I had this momentary vision of, if we were at a live event, I would have my eye on him the whole time to create maximum distance between the two of us. And that was my light bulb aha moment, that no matter what I was doing consciously, unconsciously, below the surface, every cell of my being was like, danger, Will Robinson, and keeping maximum distance between me and money, and the unconscious always wins. This money was not safe. There was a reason that I wasn't making money, because it was this malevolent monster of a guy who wanted to kill me. And I never knew that I felt that way until I personified money.
Wow.
And it was really clear to me in that moment that there was no way that I could have money in my life if it was that guy, that I had very, very good reason to protect myself from that guy, and that wasn't going to change. So my coach suggested to me that I need to end this relationship, that it wasn't serving either of us. And at that time in 2003, I just imagined breaking up with him. That's not what I teach anymore. A lot is, I've gotten a lot better at this in the like 21 years.
Yeah.
And my clients have made many, many millions of dollars because my results just get bigger and bigger. But I got rid of the biker and suddenly was aware of this emptiness where this relationship had been my whole life, kind of like water, when it's gone, or air. There was just this vacuum. And I knew that I needed to have a relationship with money because I live in Los Angeles and I'm human. And I didn't want the biker to come back. So I thought, well, I need a new relationship to fill this void. And I thought to myself, well, who could I want so much? Who could I want in my life so much that I'd be willing to have a relationship with this person, even if it's money? And that if you've ever been in a really abusive, heartbreaking relationship that was difficult to end, you know that the last thing you want is anything like that again. So having had this lifetime experience of money being rejection and exploitation, some of which I've only learned about in the last 6 months, it was obvious that I really, really wanted to steer very clear of anything like the old relationships. So it needed to be somebody so loving, so worthy of love, someone I would want so much in my life that I could love this person, even if it was going to be my relationship with money. So when I asked that question, who could I want so much that I would want this person, even if it's money? Because I had been in so much pain, because my experience of my monster became so real and tangible and specific and human, and I got rid of that and it was completely gone. When I asked this new question, this new person showed up. This new imaginary person who felt like love, was tall, dark, and handsome, sweet, clean cut, youthful, wearing a tuxedo, carrying a bouquet of red flowers because he loved me and as if he wanted to take me out to the theater and was wooing me. Very romantic, very much in love with me, very safe and sweet. And I liked him. And I was shocked at this feeling that, wow, money is this lovely, loving, sweet person who desperately wants to be with me and wants to woo me, was so different from anything I'd ever thought regarding money before. And I could feel it in my whole being. And I could feel that he wanted to be with me. And then I realized, oh, heck, I don't have any experience with how do I allow money to be with me in that, like, as much as he wants to be with me. How do I know how to keep it at arm's length, but I don't even know how to allow money to come in like that, to just like overwhelm me with love. So I asked. That's the great thing about this kind of money honey, your humanized money honey.
Mm.
So I asked him, what do you need from me to allow you to be with me the way you obviously want to be with me? And when you ask a question, you get an answer, because that's the way our brains work. It sounded and felt and looked like it came from him, but we all know that, it's all happening in my head. So I asked him, what do you need from me? And he said, I need you to love me, and I need you to stop treating me like a monster. And that felt really fair. And I could feel the vulnerability and how I'd been breaking his heart for years by pushing him away and going out with the bad boy biker dude while this sweet guy wants to be with me and I'm treating him like a monster. So, and really, really quickly, I know we've all heard the love of money is the root of all evil. And I just want to say love is not evil. Love is not exploitation. Love is not scarcity. Love is not greed. Love does not cause harm. Love is not selfish. Love is not mean. None of that is love. Love is generous and expansive and joyful, and it's our best selves. It's divine, it's who we really are at our best. That is love. So when I talk about love, that's what I mean. And as a side note, I have a friend in the UK who took a class on ancient Aramaic, which is the original language of the Old Testament. And it didn't say that. The original language was the worship of money will cause you problems. And I'll say amen to that. Yeah, okay. Don't create a false god. But love doesn't, love is love is love. It's not exploitation. It's never, ever, ever evil.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to share that you can now support the show on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/supernormalized. Your contributions help me to create even more amazing content. Please check out the link below in the show notes and join our community and unlock exclusive perks. Thank you so much for your support.
So I'm talking about the love that makes you the best person you are, in integrity, loving yourself, creating a better world for everybody. So anyway, my money honey said, I need you to love me and stop treating me like a monster. That seemed reasonable. So I made a commitment that next time he brought me a gift, instead of going, ew, and pushing it away, I would say thank you.
Mm.
And what that looked like in practice is over the next couple of days, 4 people hired me at double what I'd ever charged before. And when they'd ask me, how do you work or what do you charge? I would take a deep breath and I would state my fee with this energy of love, like, isn't he beautiful? And then I would shut up, which you can imagine is the hardest thing for me, and let them work it out. When somebody gets silent, they're just figuring it out. And it's not my job to defend or justify or convince anybody of anything. My job is to, if I feel it's a good match and I feel like I can help them and I like them, I will say, this is how we can work together. And then I will shut up and I will let the grown-up opposite me make the best decision for themselves. So that's my very long-winded story. And in that story are the 6 steps of my financial alchemy process. I call it alchemy because alchemy is the art of transmuting lead into gold, as in lead in human experience into spiritual and material gold. I'm not a law of attraction teacher, although I've got tons of law of attraction friends, and I know half of the people who are in The Secret. I just, L on my forehead, that isn't my path. I am not a high vibes only person because I think that all of our experiences are profoundly useful or they wouldn't be here. And I think that your worst experience and your victim experiences are sacred and a source of power and learning and evolution and enlightenment, like all the good stuff. And I want us to use it. I don't want you to bury it. I think that, the universe gets our attention. Remember, I'm a religion major, so I think these ways, but in my own language. The universe, I believe, gets our attention for our own evolution through 3 primary spiritual teachers, which are money, love, and health. And somewhere along the way, any of those are going to impact us and challenge us and invite us to get into a next level right relationship with our own existence. And so that's what this process is about. I call it financial alchemy because it started for me with money. And for many years, that was all I focused on. And it's great for marketing because Perry made $12 million in the first 3 years. And Leslie made $1.2 million a couple of hours after I coached her. And I have all these big numbers and, you know, everything from thousands to tens of millions and everything in between with clients. And by the way, Perry was at zero, had to borrow the money to coach with me. But it's really, every time I talk about relationship with money, I'm really talking about relationship with life, because money is, honestly, it's something we human beings invented. It doesn't, exist on its own in nature. And I have found that changing your relationship with money is never really about money. So I'm gonna walk you through the 6 steps of my process, financial alchemy.
Okay.
Financial, wink, alchemy. And the first, and this is the most important piece, because it's all a foundation. Yeah, you need to, complete the step you're on before the next step will work. And so the first step is to uncover the root cause of whatever your money drama is. Whether it is that you don't have enough, or you're afraid of losing what you have, or you're working too hard and hate what you're doing for what you have, or maybe you make it and you lose it, or you make it and you become a target and you've been cheated on or embezzled by partners or clients or whatever your drama is. The reason that you're here right now to learn this, we uncover the root cause, and the root cause is never the money story. And I know that there are a lot of coaches out there who sell programs called Change Your Money Story, Change Your Life, which, by the way, is great marketing. And if it works for you, go ahead. I have never, in the many thousands of people I've coached, ever found the money monster, the root cause, in the money itself. It is always what money represents. This is what makes money so sticky, and why we're so uncomfortable talking about it, and what makes it, why money is the number one excuse that human beings give for what we can't have, do, or be, why it's the big monster in our lives, is because it represents what I consider to be the tenderest vulnerabilities of our human existence. Am I loved? Am I valued? Am I safe? So anything that has ever made you feel unloved or unlovable, especially by yourself, anything that has ever made you feel not valued or not good enough, not worthy, value, worth, all different, it's all the same thing, the same core idea. Anything that has ever made you feel not good enough, not worthy, not worth it, not valued, not valuable, that's 2 of these 3: unloved, unworthy, unsafe. Anything that has ever made you feel unsafe, especially if it doesn't look like it has anything to do with money, an accident, an illness, an eating disorder, climate change, violence, wars, your family history. If your family was dragged here as slaves or survived the Holocaust or any number of, scary, life-threatening, world is not a safe, friendly place, any of that stuff that makes the world not a safe, friendly place, that's where we find the root cause. You do not need to get everything. You do not need to go so far in digging things up that you re-traumatize yourself. Not necessary. You do not need to go so far that you dissociate. In fact, what I want you to do, and I'm giving you all the secrets I can cram into it, like I'm trying to cram 20 years into 1 hour. Not going to happen. Don't worry about it. I'll send you to resources to learn more at your leisure, but I am going to try to, cram in all I can in the tiny time we have. So you want to be almost like an attorney making a case against life, everything that makes life not worth living. And you just want to get enough that it's like, no wonder, just enough to feel what I call, my scientific term is a critical mass of ick. Not enough to harm you, but just enough to like really feel the victim experience.
Mm.
So for all of you who have done your therapy and you've worked on yourself and you've, positive thinking, I want you to put all the positive thinking, like take it off like a hat, put it in a steel box, bury it 30 feet below the ground temporarily. It's very, very tempting to think things like, but other people have it worse, or it's not so bad, or I'm better now. All of that pulls you out of the first steps so that you cannot proceed. And really, what we're doing is we're uncovering your monster, and your monster will want to hide because your monster has a great gig messing with you. So, the way that your monster can like hold on to this great gig is by you minimizing your own worst experiences. I want you to take the worst thing you've ever thought about yourself or said to yourself and imagine, and this is the time to bring it up, because now in step number 2, we are going to give personhood to this, to everything terrible that has ever happened. We're gonna imagine that this imaginary person did all of this to you and maybe is messing with the planet. Whatever agitates you, wakes you up in the middle of the night, animal cruelty, human trafficking, whatever pollution, whatever it is. We're going to put everything that you don't want in your own life experience. We're going to put it into this imaginary person, which is going to be your monster. So step 2 is personifying the root cause. Now, remember I said you don't have to be a great visualizer, and I mean it. What I would invite you to do instead of trying to figure out what it looks like is instead, how big does it feel? And you want it to be big, because as big and as bad as we make the monster, your money honey will be even bigger, more powerful, and more wonderful. And we want to get as much of this monster out of the way as we can. So how big? Does it feel hot or cold? What does it smell like? What does it want to do to you? What does it think to itself when it looks at you? And so you have all these other senses of feeling and smell and even taste and touch and temperature and sound and thought, that if you want to then imagine, what does its fingernails look like? What does its teeth look like? What does its eyeballs look like? Its hair, what is it wearing? Then maybe you might actually see it. But I always think the feeling is the most important part myself. So when it feels real to you and it's all bad, 2 things: the monster is never you, and the monster is never your parents. And I know, and I've coached people with very monstrous parents. So the reason it's not you or your parents is step number 3. Remember, I told you I updated my own experience from 20 years ago. I'm not satisfied with breakup with the monster, and then you've got some monster roaming the world ready to come back. No, 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 no. So now I say annihilate the monster by any means necessary. I have clients who have used lightsabers and machetes and fiery pits and meat grinders and volcanoes and piranhas. And one client ran over her monster with a monster truck. I mean, atom bomb, light and love, whatever the whole point is to make it completely gone, like incinerate it. But leave no bloody bits. I want it completely gone. Clean up the ashes or the pieces with a cosmic vacuum cleaner or sulfuric acid. By the way, I don't watch violent movies. I don't go to horror movies. I'm like, totally, totally squeamish. And I'm saying kill the beast because there's power. This is how you rise up out of the victim experience. And we have this in every religion. We've got, Kali and Durga in India, and we have Saint Michael in the West, just slaying ignorance, slaying the demon, slaying the obstacle. And what you're doing is you're choosing yourself. Only one of you gets to survive, the monster or you. So by choosing to annihilate the monster, you are choosing to reject everything that no longer has permission to be in your life experience. So put all of it in, especially the stuff that doesn't look like it has anything to do with money. because that tends to have even more energy. And we want to use that energy, and the annihilating the monster is a very kind of hot, dry, rising energy out of this like heavy, damp, cold victim energy. So now we've gotten rid of the monster and it's completely gone. And just check yourself energetically, or whatever language you use. Just check to see, is there any monster left, any experience of the monster? If there is, just make a smaller monster and destroy that. And then when it's all gone, it's binary. It's like pregnancy. You are or you aren't, Now the monster is gone. You have a blank slate. All that remains when the monster is gone and rejected and banished from existence, all that remains is love. And this experience of love is now going to be given personhood too. And we're going to call this person money because money is that area of life that needs our love and healing as individuals and as a species. So step number 4 is you meet your money honey. Step 1, uncover the root cause. Step 2, personify the root cause as your money monster. Step 3, annihilate the money monster by any means necessary. Step 4, meet your money honey. I used to say create, but I don't want you to have to get all intellectual. That's not the language of your subconscious where real changes happen. I mean, all of your beliefs, attitudes, and actions come out of your unconscious. Your conscious mind is just a little bit of frosting on the top. Good frosting. Well, we love it. I love how smart you are. It's so cool. That's a cool thing about being a human being, but you also have so much more available to you than you're aware of consciously. So you meet your money honey. It's a he or a she or a they, whatever your flavor is, doesn't matter. What is kind of fun for me, though, is I notice that, like, for women, cis hetero women, their money when a woman meets her money honey, it's like she can relax for the first time. Like, I love to just have her step into his arms and feel held, and she can relax and she can soften and she can feel safe. And then for the like typically cis hetero guy, when he has slayed his monster, there's a way in that he just kind of sits up straighter, stronger. And his money honey is like, my hero, you slayed the monster for me. And he's like, I did. And that's really cool too. So it doesn't matter whatever your flavor is, it's just the flavor of love. And this is where you get to meet your money honey. That's step 4. Step 5 is now you have a conversation with your money honey. You dialogue with your money honey. I invite you to steal my first conversation, which is, what do you need from me to be with me as much as you already want to be with me? I'm not saying, what do you need from me to love me? Love is unconditional. Presence is not. If you reject your money honey, if you ignore your money honey, if you betray yourself and undervalue yourself, that is a way of rejecting your money honey. And your money honey will go, okay. And we'll just kind of step into the background, waiting for an invitation back. You are the gatekeeper. You have the body. But to your subconscious, this relationship is real as with a flesh and blood human being. We just don't understand this relationship until we give it, we can't relate to it as real until we give it personhood. That's why we do this. So step 4, meet your money honey. Step 5, have a conversation with your money honey. Step 6 is take concrete, measurable action. Action is magical. Everything we've been doing is kind of, in the ether and in your inner self, but we want to have physical, real world, tangible, measurable results. So you need to take action to bring it into your body. So the action that I would invite you to take is, what action can you take once the monster is completely gone and the money honey is there and in love with you and you're in love too? Now, what action can you take to let yourself and your money honey know that you are committed to this new relationship? Maybe it looks like money. Maybe it looks like balancing your checkbook or paying a bill or doing your taxes or calling somebody who owes you money. Sometimes it's go get a pedicure. Or I had a client years ago whose money honey wanted him to take his son to France, to Paris. She said, I want you to use me for things that are worthy of me, and this is what I want us to do first. And he made over $1 million in the next 6 weeks.
Wow.
So what you're doing is, this is kind of a hack for learning to work with your own intuition. I love the stuff that isn't on the nose. All you need to do is, like, in my experience, when you ask a question, the answer very, very often comes back so quick and quiet that you can pretend you didn't hear it. Sometimes writing it out. Me, blah, 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 blah. Money, honey, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what I look for when I'm coaching is what lights your money, honey, up. So I remember having a conversation years ago with a client, and she was going to make like 42 sales calls. And the moment she said that, I just felt, oh, like heavy, like I was channeling her money, honey. Like, oh, that's not fun at all. That's like a should, like a monster saying, you should. And I said, really? And she said, and they'll go, how does that make your money honey feel? And it was like, oh, her money honey's not into that at all. And I don't remember what they agreed to instead, but it was something that when she said it, her money honey lit up and was happy and wanted to do it too. And for an example, I had a client, Katie Curtin, in Canada. It's a lot of sounds. And I did a live demo of her way back, like 15 years, when I was doing live demos of this process. And her money honey wanted her to go skating. It was December. She's in Canada. It's really, really cold. I think it was Toronto or something. And that excited her money honey up, excited her money honey. And so she said she made a commitment that she would go skating, and then she didn't, because she was so worried about making money. So day number 1 went by, she didn't go skating, nothing changed. Day number 2 went by, she didn't go skating, nothing changed. Day 3, she took her 10-year-old son to the skating rink. They had this wonderful heart-opening connection. They had a great time. She went home, she got a phone call giving her $10,000 without her even asking for it. Now she lives in Mexico coaching Renaissance people who are multi-talented. And that was at least 15 years ago.
Wow. Look, this is an amazing process that you've come up with, and it really speaks to me. Look, I've got to be honest. When I first looked at everything that you had around money, and I thought, I don't know what this is going to go, how this is going to go, and I think that was just my naughty honey money. They just interpreting it for me. But to be honest, this is actually right on point for myself. I've had that relationship with money that you talk about, and to be honest, in the last number of years, I went into crypto and got severely burnt again, and I've had that severe burn story over and over. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? It's like I don't recognize, or I'm not, or I'm to put it plainly, I'm not listening to my honey money properly, and in doing that, then I get kicked over and over. But then
Mm.
I could actually change that relationship. So I'm hearing how that works now from your understanding, and it makes so much sense to me. I mean, I've done Ericksonian hypnosis and NLP as well, and reframing, and to me, this sounds a lot like um, for ourselves, we create an egregore or a servitor in magical sort of stories, and that if you create the wrong being and feed it, it gives you the obviously wrong feedback. And
Mm.
when you turn that around, you can destroy your servitors and your egregores and then change them or create a new one, like you've explained. Then you can change everything.
I look at the monster as this rite of initiation, you
Mm,
know, in its own twisted way, it's an ally, but it will kill you if you don't go, if you don't face it.
mm,
Um, and that's why I draw a little bit of a line between me and law of attraction. Many years ago, I had this beautiful tuxedo cat that I had picked up in college. And we were moving to a new house and he was all freaked out and he bit my hand. And I put a Band-Aid on it.
Mhm.
Don't do that. What happened over the next few hours is my hand started to go numb and I started to get this black line up my wrist and up my arm when I decided, and it started to feel weird and achy and numb. So I went to the emergency room. If I had waited until it came to my heart, I would have been dead because that's blood poisoning.
Mhm.
You do not want to put a Band-Aid on the poison with your affirmations, but not really facing the pain underneath. What you
Mhm.
really want to do is you want to suck it out and you want to use it and you want to transmute it. There's even a story of Shiva drinking all the world's poison and turning it into purple medicine. So he turned purple. Shiva, for those who don't know, Shiva is the Hindu god of death and destruction, but he's also this supreme being. And what he really destroys is ignorance and suffering. But it may not feel like it at the time because it feels like he's dancing on our back, but he's dancing on our back so we will let go of our own ignorance so that we can be saved. And I think that that's really life. So when life gets your attention through a pain, it is like another doorway to getting closer to your most divine self. You can call it God, you can call it your highest self and wisdom, your evolution, whatever it is. And now I used this process in July of 2012 or June of 20, it must have been June of 2012 on my relationship with love. Because I was 45 and I had never been married, and I'd been looking for like my Prince Charming since I chased Brian Patterson under the piano at his fifth birthday, and Brian was the older man. So I'd been on the hunt for the love of my life for over 40 years. And I was teaching financial alchemy and I was hearing myself say stuff like, if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing and nothing's happening, you're probably protecting yourself from what you want. And I'd hear myself and I would hear myself silently respond, that sounds like your love life. I was taking every class, I was working with the coaches, I was on every dating app and reading the books and doing everything and nothing, just like, heartbreak after heartbreak, decade after decade. So one day I finally relented and decided to go looking for my love monster. And I just dug up all of the times I'd been rejected by my birth mother, my stepfather, my birth father, and friends growing up and boyfriends, and just all the rejections and all the messages that I wasn't lovable or worthy of love, or that just love was a setup to pull the rug out from under me, break my heart, and ultimately make me not want to live. And my love monster was bigger than any money monster I'd ever had. And it was so big, I didn't even know if I could destroy it, but I did whatever I could do to destroy it. And I met my husband 2 months later.
Wow.
And I got married. We met August 12th, 2012. We got married 18 months later, and we have been married 26 times in 21 countries because he had the idea that we should get married 100 times in 100 countries.
That's
So
cool.
remember what I was saying about all that effort isn't wasted. It's just building up, building up, building up behind this wall of safety. And by the way, safety is good. You deserve to be safe. When I finally got rid of the monster and chose a new relationship with love, I met a man who was safe. And I always felt safe with him. I was never in a rush to get married because I just knew before he knew it. But he freaked me out by proposing before I expected him to. um, and it just, whatever it is, whether it's Leslie making $1.2 million just a couple of hours after we had our coaching session, or Katie Curtin or Perry or any of these people, or Love, or it can come in bigger and faster than you expect. But it happens in the perfect time. before it happens, you have this relationship with life that you can call your money honey, who loves you and sees how powerful you are. And so you start to see yourself differently. And you look at whatever the drama is of your circumstances, you look at it together as a couple. And you look at it through your money honey's eyes without any of your fear or neuroses or limitations. And you see it differently. And your life is already changed. Your whole life experience is already changed. And the cash then becomes like the dessert. And I say this because I've had hundreds and hundreds of phone calls where I have a great, rich, wonderful coaching session with the client. And then they tell me in the last 30 seconds of the call that, oh, they made $100,000. Oh, by the way, yeah. Or, by the way, go to my website, morganarae.com, because I promised you there's just no way to transmit everything I know in 1 hour. So go to morganarae.com, just one word, add a .com to the end. You will find my 4-part Money Magnetic video series there. You'll find my Money Love quiz to see where you are on your journey and what I recommend for you next. Lots of resources, hundreds and hundreds of articles and videos answering questions on my blog. And if you want to know where to start, I mean, you can jump to like straight to hiring me as a coach or just having a conversation about it. But if you want to get, kind of dip your toe in with less of a commitment, start with my book, Financial Alchemy, 12 Months of Magic and Manifestation. You'll see that on my homepage. One of my favorite clients of all time, Pam, had her first $250,000 sales month using my book on her own before we had ever met, ever spoke, she ever hired me. Then she hired me and she bought the company that she was making those sales for.
Guess what book I'm buying?
Yay. And when you buy it, because you're on this call, so you'll know about this, but people going to Amazon or Walmart or whatever bookstore they go to online. If you go back to my website and you go to the book page on the menu bar and you go on the book page, come back and me your name, your email address, and your receipt number, and you will get an extra bonus. In addition to the bonuses that are in the book, this is what nobody else knows about. There's an extra bonus, which is a 90-minute Q&A call that I did when I launched the book. And people had bought the book and they had it for a couple of weeks and they were starting it and now they have questions. And I am my best when people have questions, because human beings are infinitely resourceful at coming up at new and exciting obstacles that I never imagined. And that's where I come alive.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Wow. What a presentation, Morgana. I love the way that you actually expressed all that. And I I didn't actually have to say much because you just make everything flow. And I really appreciate everything that you've shared today. It's amazing. It's right on point for me right now in my life as well. And I think this is the right thing to hear, even just for myself, even though I didn't expect that. So I'm certain there's probably a lot of people out there that'll be listening and they'll hear this and go, wow, that's me too. And I can change too. So thank you so much for your time. It's very, very cool that you've shared so much and so openly with us here on Super Normalize.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. All right. I'll just say goodbye to the listeners. This was a really good episode with Morgana. As I did mention at the start, this was on point for me. And because I've had some challenges myself with money in the past, and my relationship with money hasn't been so great. It's like, like not survival level, but enough to be a pain in the ass. And obviously I have been the person that just has not listened to, the loving money being that could be listened to. And I'm going to make those changes. I'm going to actually buy her book myself. And if you've really enjoyed today's show, please, reach out to Morgana at her site, and all those details will be in the show notes. And it was actually Morgana Rae, RAE.com. And yeah, please tell her how much you enjoyed the show. That'd be really appreciated. And if you've enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also on your podcast app, please give me a 5-star rating and write some nice words so other people can enjoy these shows as well. And, I've got a Patreon right now. I've actually mentioned that. during the show. So please, if you feel to help support the show in other ways, jump on. It's only $5 per month at the basic level, and you get benefits which you don't normally get just on the normal podcast stream or the normal YouTube stream. So thank you very much for listening. And again, yeah, actually, I should say where it is. It's patreon.com/supernormalized. I almost forgot that part. All right. Thanks for listening again. And until next episode, it's bye for now.